Hi everyone, my name is Sue Elson and welcome to 10 Ways to Improve Your LinkedIn Engagement. This is a webinar that's being recorded and will also be available on my YouTube channel later today and also on my sueelson.com website. Now it is only 30 minutes, but I do welcome lots of questions. So if you've got those, please pop them in the chat. I'm going to be talking about obviously 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn engagement. I'm going to be looking at both how to do it via your profile as well as via your page if you've got a company page. And I'm including a few always remember tips which would actually apply if you were using these tips on any other form of social media as well. Thank you for showing up. Woody Allen says 80% of success is turning up. So as a result of you attending live, I'll be automatically sending you these files. But if you're listening to the recording, then you can just go to sueelson.com/latest-offer and you can download those files yourself. I've also got a 4-hour workshop for only 4 people coming up in Canterbury and Melbourne on the 19th of August. And I'll pop my links in the chat so that you can follow me on social media if you're not. People who register via Eventbrite are not automatically connected to me on LinkedIn, so feel free to do that. On every webinar I run, I give a quick update on all my social media numbers. You can see I've added threads to my list of accounts. I'm not doing too well on TikTok, but I'd love your support on YouTube. So if you use any of those platforms, feel free to connect with me there. And most of you would know I've written 5 books, with my latest one being LinkedIn for Me and My Career or Business. And that is a finalist in the Australian Career Book Award, just as my Geeksters book was as well. Also, I now have a LinkedIn online course that goes with the book. So it's time to, briefly to tell you about me. I'm a member of all these organizations. I set up Newcomers Network in 2001, which was my first website. And I love being a member of professional associations and keeping myself up to date. I'd love to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're all based. This presentation is for all backgrounds. It's general advice only. And you've all got the slides and video recording link, or you can see it on my website again. You can leave your video camera off if you don't want to have it turned on, and your microphone as well. I'm going to assume there's a varied level of knowledge here, but hopefully everything you see you will understand. And I'd also encourage you to find one way to say thank you. My mom tells me that you should always say thank you. It takes about 10 hours of work to put this 30-minute webinar together because I sort of condense everything. So if you are on a laptop or desktop computer at the moment, I invite you to visit your own LinkedIn profile, and on the Open To button, if you click, or next to it, you'll see the More button. And if you click on the More button, you'll see about this profile and it will tell you what year you joined. Now, I joined on the 21st of December 2003. I'm member number 77832. This is my first official social media platform and my favorite, I have to say. So I would love to know in the chat, are you in Australia? Are you in overseas somewhere? Not Australia, and what year did you join? So if you'd like to pop that in the chat, it just gives me a bit of a clue as to where you're all from, what you all do, and that would be super as well. Kelly, you're in Melbourne and you joined 2011. Well done. That's considered a long time ago now. Isn't that hard to believe with so many new social media channels? Bry's in Sydney, 2012. Anthony, 2007. And we'll have some more come in, no doubt. Abu Dhabi, 2006, woohoo! Well done, Rafe. Brisbane, 2008, Brisbane, 2018. Oh, we've got lots. Melbourne, 2016. So a number of people from Australia. Great to have you all here. And the next thing I'm going to do is ask you or invite you, whilst you're listening to this webinar, to start typing a message in chat. And the message is going to be the 3 things that you are finding really, really helpful from this webinar, because it's really good for me to know what was of most value to people, whether it's new information, whether it's information that's been around a long time. That's really cool. Oh, Sydney 2013, Australia 2015. Thank you everyone for your participation. Great to have you here. And I'm aiming to give you the most value I possibly can in 30 minutes. So these are the 10 tips we are going to go through on deciding on your purpose for LinkedIn. Consider using the various reactions, having a comment strategy, including @ mentions and hashtags, keep the conversations going, keep the focus on the author, not you. No more selfies, I'll tell you why, or spam tags. See who reacts, comments, and connect. Follow, bookmark, or subscribe to people, companies, and newsletters, and repost or share. So that's a bit of a rundown. So your purpose on LinkedIn. There are so many people who have no idea how to use LinkedIn. And that's why I wrote my first book, 120 Ways to Achieve Your Purpose. All of our purposes are going to be slightly different. Here's just a few things you can do on LinkedIn. There are plenty more. And you can also, if you're not sure about what you'd like to do next, I read books for 3 years. Do What You Love, The Money Will Follow, Find Your Purpose in Life, What Colours Your Parachute. I read all these different books and I still didn't have any idea what I wanted to do with my life after that. So I wrote this article, and it's a little mind map exercise that starts with your non-negotiables, brain dumps everything you've ever done or thought of doing without editing, and then you circle the ones that are most important. It creates a values-based decision-making framework. So that can help you decide how you're going to spend your time, what's most important, so on and so forth. So obviously, when you see engagement is all about what you're going to be doing with the newsfeed. So the newsfeed is the middle of the screen on LinkedIn as soon as you sign in. And you've probably noticed, like all the other platforms, that there are multiple ways to react. Back in the day, we only had the like button, but now we've got the celebrate, clapping hands, we've got showing you support and care, the love heart, the insightful, and the laughing, which I was excited to see that one in. I was very happy to see the purple thinking curious face removed. I found that a little bit passive aggressive. So just remember, you've got these choices. Now, there are various LinkedIn experts who believe this support and care one will help the post go more viral, but it's normally sad news about someone. So I'm reluctant to recommend it. But what I would like to encourage you is, if you really do see something and think, that's not just good, that's insightful, please pop that on, because LinkedIn is prioritizing insightful content. So also, whilst you're at it, you might think, well, if I'm going to change just what I do with liking, maybe I should do a bit of a social media audit as well. Oh, we've got Phil from Adelaide in 2012. Thanks, Phil. Then there's a link there that you can follow. And these links are on the website as well, or in the PDF that you can download, you can click through. So I also encourage you to have a comments strategy. So when you make a comment, you can include emojis and images and links. And what you may have noticed is when you make a post, the LinkedIn URL or the URL that you posted into LinkedIn gets changed into a LinkedIn URL. But when you post them in the comments, they don't. So people have a bit of a clue as to where they're going, which I kind of like. You can also choose how you respond. So you can see here, I've got my red top on, and this is responding as me. And this is to a post that Leah made this week. She's an author who is also a finalist in this year's Australian Career Book Award, and she was talking about her book. So I really wanted to say, yeah, I agreed with her comment. She was talking about soft skills not being as important as technical skills. And we kept this little conversation going, and I'll talk more to that later. But if you start commenting, what it does is it tells the LinkedIn algorithm what you're interested in. So if one of my clients is in some completely different field, let's say project management, and they want me to engage with their content, as a general rule, I'll say, look, I'll like it for you, but I won't add a comment, because the algorithm could get confused and think that I want to hear all about project management, when that's not my main purpose or focus on LinkedIn. So keep that in mind. Now, a lot of people say, I don't know what to publish on LinkedIn. Well, I'm here to tell you that being engaged on LinkedIn is more likely to be helpful than just posting on LinkedIn, because people love it when you like their stuff and you comment on it. So consider, what sort of engagement would you be comfortable doing, and how often would you like to do that? And I'd suggest every week. So if you really want to make the maximum use of LinkedIn, I think you can do everything you need to do on LinkedIn in 20 minutes a week. But if you were allocated at least 5 minutes to actually engage with people's posts on a regular basis, It's a really good way to maintain your relationships and keep up that engagement. Now, engagement, or what's called listening, is considered more important than speaking, which is your posting and your sharing of content. So if you can keep that engagement ratio to 12 times that you engage and only once that you post, that means you're listening more than speaking, and the algorithm's going to be nice to you. And hopefully that'll mean when you do post something, it will perform better. And a lot of the LinkedIn trainers say if you post and then start engaging with everybody else's stuff at the same time, that's a good way to remember to do it. Now, obviously, this post was written by Leah, and that's the link to it if you want to check it out. But I'm keeping the focus on her rather than on me. And then she has willingly engaged with the rest of the comments we've made, and we've liked each other's post. Oh, I'm going to sneeze, sorry. Oh. And yeah, so please don't try and use it as a chance to pitch your own services. You know, that's really poor form. Thank you, Beck, for that comment. 12-1. Look, that statistic is from a number of years ago, and it's one that I keep putting out to remind people how important it is. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I just want to emphasize it would be really valuable if you could do that. Now, when you make a post, you can include @mention. So I can @mention somebody who's listed in it, like I did with Leah there. And I can also have hashtags, and you can also do that in your comments. Now, I have some hashtags that I use all the time. One of them is hashtag Sue Ellson, which is my name. And if I'm publishing one of my poems, I put that one in there. I realized I wasn't following it when I prepared these slides, so I've added that one in. The Australian Career Book Award, I've decided to follow that. So this helps determine what's going to come into my news feed as well. So you can both add them to your content, but you can also follow them, and then you can be engaging in content that is more relevant to you. And also, if you use an @mention, rather than just say Sue Ellson said in her webinar, if you do @Sue Ellson in her webinar, then I will know that you've shared that. And that's very helpful to me. So if you'd like to know what hashtags you're following at the moment, you can do that. If you want to follow a hashtag, just search for it, then click on it. And then once you've clicked on the hashtag, it will give you the opportunity to follow it. Now, the next thing is to keep the conversation going. Now, I love this particular story. I wrote an article because I am tired of some decision makers and recruiters treating candidates badly, because they think, well, I've got the job and the candidates should, you know, run around and jump through hoops and waste hours and hours of their time answering key selection criteria and attending 64 job interviews, online, video prompted, in person, interstate, and they expect them to do all this stuff for nothing. So I think that's sometimes a little bit unreasonable. And what I would like to see is recruiters and decision makers improve their recruitment and selection process. So I wrote this article with a sort of a catchy title about paying job candidates for interviews. Well, it got picked up by LinkedIn. It also got found by some engineers at Google, who then prepared a submission to Google to suggest that they pay their job candidates for interviews. So it went off. It really was not only good in terms of impressions and comments and reactions and reposts, but it actually changed people's minds. And believe it or not, I'm still couple of years, I think, since I wrote this, I'm still getting people liking this post because it comes up in search results because I wrote an article. So this, when you get content that is really out of the box, providing solutions, giving people advice, all of this kind of stuff, you're much more likely to get good quality engagement from it. So LinkedIn algorithm was recently, they told everybody that we've updated it now. We want you to focus on professional content. That's what we're all about. Now, the reason I love LinkedIn so much, it's not owned by a megalomaniac. It's owned by an organization, Microsoft, which acquired it in 2016. So there are a lot of checks and balances and security procedures, and it's, for the most part, a very friendly and professional environment. I have very rarely, in my over 20 years experience on it, had any issues with it. And so I'm really, really grateful for that. So make sure you're willing to bring out those new topics. And if anybody does comment on your post, make sure that you respond. I have actually included a few people at mentions here. You can see sometimes you can at mention someone and it doesn't click their name. It seems to be just a bug in the system, so don't do your head in over that. But the longer your comments are, the more likely your post is to go viral. So if you get comments that you respond to in that first hour to 24 hours since posting, then your content is more likely to be engaging and go more viral. Now, as I said before, make sure you keep the focus on the author instead of you. Now, I didn't have Rim on this screen to provide the full details of this post, but I did a course, and if you want the details, I can let you know, run by LinkedIn for content creators. And they run it on a periodic basis. So again, if you want the details, I'll connect you up with Brendan Wong here in Australia. It's mostly for the Asia Pac region, but you can do it. And they sent me this detail about the digital nomad story that had been published on SBS. So I got the original story and then added my comments to it. And there's a few people saying they'd love the LinkedIn course. Yeah, it's really good for both me as well as people who are new to LinkedIn. So I got a lot of value out of it. I'm sure Brendan will welcome your content. So I'll save a copy of the chat and make sure I reach out to Brendan with your details. So so I've used the hashtag of digital nomad because that's what they were talking about. And what Brendan does is he says to me, put these hashtags in because this is a story we want to do a follow-up on. And Kayla Dengate, some of you may already know, she was actually doing another story and then I got featured in that. So again, I'm always about providing value. Like that is just so important. Now, I go to lots of webinars. I mean, I've been going to an event every week, sometimes up to 4 or more events per week since the year 2001, which was directly after I'd finished my degree. So I go to a lot of events. And let me tell you, there's lots of things I learn. And one of them told me, you should tell people there's something about you tell them what to do, but not how to do it. And I'm not that person. I'm an educator. So I want to actually let the people have this information, which is why all of my webinars, because I'm a learning junkie, I try and include as much information as possible. Now, a few weeks or months ago, maybe say in the last 12 months, it seemed that selfie photo LinkedIn posts were going viral. And so a lot of people got on the bandwagon and it started to feel a lot like other social media platforms. Now, I was not a fan. I'm not a selfie person. So anyway, they were out there. And so I did a little search today to find a selfie. And what should I find? Is this hairy-chested man talking about LinkedIn etiquette with a selfie. Now, you can have a look at it. There's some interesting tips on it, but he's also spam tagged a whole bunch of people. And yet, look, it's both a good and a bad example of how to use LinkedIn, but I would not recommend this. But I believe the reason it came up in my search results is because this is a particular technique I've used in the past, which is 2 pictures that are similar but different, because this will be scroll stopping. So as people go through their newsfeed, if they see 2 pictures that kind of look like the same person, they'll stop scrolling. And then, of course, what happens? It goes viral. So he's kind of used some techniques, but this is not how I would do it. And I would not use selfie pictures anymore. It's probably because there's 2 pictures here that it's worked rather than 1, but just please don't do it. It's not a good look. Definitely, if you've got a photo and it's got people's faces in it, terrific. I'm just not a fan of the selfie. Now, you can tag people who are interested in the topic, but please do not spam tag, which means that you are just tagging, for instance, me, because I've got 27,000 followers and you think I'll share it. Well, I'm not going to do that unless it's relevant. So please just keep that in mind. One person I tagged, which I thought it was right up her alley. She was helping women in business, and I tagged her, and she messaged me and said, I'm going to untag myself from your post and please don't do it again. I said, okay. Just thought it would be relevant for you. I didn't expect her to share it. So people can untag themselves. Hi, there's lots of people interested in the course. I'm keeping an eye on the chat. Thank you for your involvement there. Please remember to count up your 3 things that are going to be most valuable from this webinar for you, because I'd love you to pop them in the chat once we've got to the end. Now, also, you can @mention people. Now, I'm on LinkedIn every day. I love LinkedIn, but most people, sadly, are not on LinkedIn every day. So if that's the case, I recommend that you don't necessarily tag them in your post, or if you do, copy the link to the post via the 3 dots and then send them that link so that then they can immediately engage. So yeah, please keep that in mind. Now, I am a member, a very proud member of the Career Development Association of Australia. And a lot of the people who come to my webinars are also members of CDAA because they need to use LinkedIn in their role as career practitioners. So obviously, the more of these types of people I'm connected to, the better, because that means they're more likely to see my content and gain value from it because it is focused on either your career or business. So what I do occasionally is I go to the Career Development Association of Australia company page and I look at the posts and I see who's been engaging with it, and I go through that list of those people who've reacted and I invite them to connect with me on LinkedIn. And guess what? Most of them do, because most of them have heard of me or know of me indirectly because I've been a member since 2015, but I've been supporting the association much longer than that. So that's a really good question. Now, I've got a question here that's come directly. You're welcome to direct message me as well. I'd like your opinion regarding optimizing the LinkedIn profile that would help in networking. I've got plenty of those tips on the 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn profile webinars. So please either go to my YouTube channel and see it there, or go to my sueelson.com website, look under presentations, LinkedIn Insight webinars. Yes, optimizing your LinkedIn profile will definitely improve your engagement. And also, if somebody sees your engagement and they look at your profile, that's going to do better for you as well. So I also recommend that you don't just do this once and never do it again, because you need to do this on a regular basis. You need to be constantly building your network. Now, you can only have 30,000 connections and you can have an unlimited number of followers, but you do not want to invite people, 500 people in a week. Like, the algorithm is going to say, hang on a minute, you're spamming people. And particularly if these people don't accept your invitation to connect, even though you've crafted a beautiful personal message. So again, it's better to do 10 or 20 a week, part of your 20 minutes in total of time on LinkedIn, and keep building your network and making sure that the people you're reaching out to are the ones who are going to find the most value in what you're doing and is aligned with your purpose. Now, back in the day, LinkedIn had a process where you could tag people in your network and you could say, here's all my fellow career development practitioners, and here's all my VIPs, and here's all my others. And I really wanted to bring them back, but they put it in the Sales Navigator project instead, or program. So now what they've done instead of that is they've brought in the notification bell. So if you are connected or following a person or a profile or a page, you'll see this little notification bell. And if you love that person's stuff and know that they're always going to be sharing something that's useful to you, you can click on that bell and then choose all new posts. And that way you can get more of the content you want to see in your newsfeed. And let's say you've got your heart set on working for a particular company. You could also start connecting with the individual people who work there and get notified when they share their posts as well. If you turn on creator mode, what will happen if you've also got a newsletter which you produce, and I put out one once a month, then it will automatically invite people to subscribe to your newsletter. And that's another way to increase your engagement. And the old-fashioned way was, let's say there's top 10 stakeholders in your career or business that you must be on top of what they are doing. What you can do is set up a very old-fashioned thing called a bookmark in your internet browser, and in your 20 minutes a week on LinkedIn, you can just click on those links to their profiles or their pages and just engage quick and easy. So that allows you to not have to remember, oh, I've got to look up Mary, what's Mary's URL, search for her, find it. You just have it in your list of bookmarks and away you go. Particularly useful if you're in sales and business development. You can follow thought leaders, companies, best friends, colleagues, schools as well. That's a really good thing to do. I've got a couple of questions. I'll leave them to the end now because we're getting close to the end of the stuff, and I'd love to sort of, they're different types of questions to just engagement, so I'll come back to them. And also, yeah, I love this creator mode because I've now got over 5,000 subscribers on my personal LinkedIn profile because I've turned that creator mode on. So you can see what newsletters you subscribe to there. If you don't like this stuff, you can also unsubscribe. Now, reposting. Now, I used to say a like was worth 1 brownie point, a comment was worth 3 brownie points, and a share, as it used to be called, was worth 5 brownie points. But it seems that like a like is 1, a comment is 5, and a repost, I don't know if it's 3 or less. I really don't know anymore. But if you click on that repost button, you can repost with your thoughts. So it puts the post at the bottom of the other person's post at the bottom of your post, and then you add in your bit at the top, or you can just repost it. Now, before I would do that, I would always, even if it was my best friend who was always reliable, I would still click on any links and make sure that the content that I'm going to is okay and in accordance with my values, because there could be some random thing on there that talks about something I don't like, and I don't want to be sharing that. So just keep that in mind before you do it. I still believe that commenting is going to give you more bang for buck. But if somebody reposts your content and you manage to see it come up in notifications, or you look at your post and you see that it's been shared, I always go in and like it and say thanks for sharing with your network, and add in any comments if they added some thoughts as well. And please, if you are part of an organization, I'm very grateful to all of the individuals, customers, clients, supporters that support me. So if ever I see their content, I will always try and engage with it. So it's called employee advocacy if you're doing it for the organization where you work. It's not just crawling, it is good practice to do it because, I mean, they pay you. Why wouldn't you want to support their efforts? I think it's another way of saying thank you. Sarah's already got her top 3 things. Congratulations, Sarah. I'm going to send you a digital copy of my book for that. Well done. Use of mind maps to work out your purpose, comment strategy, and networking. Well done, Sarah. So that's the top 3. Well, I'd love you to put your top 3. Sarah's already done it even before I got to the slide. So well done. If you would love to share it, there's no obligation to, but sometimes it makes us more accountable if we think about what are the top 3. If you want to be checking the slides in the email I sent out this morning, the slides are already online. So that's going to be helpful. This is also good reinforcement for the other people here on the webinar. And Brian said different reactions are prioritized. Concept of listening on LinkedIn, yes, and using the notifications. Didn't know that was a thing. There you go. Bettina, newsletter, reposting, follow companies. Lucy, use of information, seeing what my network is doing, networking, posting a newsletter on LinkedIn page, commenting. Yes, Rosemary, I put my newsletter on my website first. Then I put it on LinkedIn personal profile, LinkedIn company profile, and MailChimp. MailChimp's the last one I send it out on. So, because I don't know about you, but we've all got too many emails. I'm really happy to see content via a notification I don't want it clogging my inbox. I want my inbox for important messages. So I just think it's a terrific way to keep up to date. Phil says, be active daily, comment and engage more. These are really great. If you would like to save the chat, please click on the 3 dots and then you can save the chat and reinforce those things as well. My next LinkedIn Insight webinar is 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn posts. I'm going to be helping you make them go more viral and understanding a little bit more in depth about what's going to make a difference. Likewise, you can see all of the previous webinars that I've run on my website, LinkedIn Insight webinars and recordings. I started in October 2021. I've done one every month since. These older ones are an hour long. These new 10 ways to improve are only 30 minutes. The online course that I offer that relates directly to the book is on my website. It's 10 weeks worth. You spend about 2 hours a week. You will have an amazing profile. You'll know all about engaging, producing content, writing articles, a whole lot. It's everything in the book. So feel free. And it does include the book as well. The gift, everybody who's shown up live will be sent these files. Anybody who's listening to the recording can download them for free at sueelson.com/latest offer. My 4-hour in-person workshops coming up then. I'm coming to those questions very soon. Reminder, please follow me on your social media if you are not already. So I'll just pop those links in the chat. And I've got 5 books, so you can buy all of them. Or these first 4 are all on ResearchGate if you want to look it up there, and you can download them for free. Lots of extra resources on my website, including television interviews. I'm going to be going on next week talking about lazy girl jobs, although I think that's the case. It was going to be yesterday, but it's been changed. So let's hope that will go ahead. And if you would like to make a comment in the Zoom chat about what was most helpful, if you don't want to put 3 things in, you can do that. And last month, I didn't get one person say thank you with a review. So if one of you would be happy to write a review on Google, Facebook, or my website, I would really, really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do now is run through the questions. So I've got through the formal part of the content. So I'll go up to the first question after the one I last answers. Love info tips on the best way to set up a business page. Yes, Phil, if you go to that LinkedIn Insight webinars one, you can see 10 ways to improve your LinkedIn page. Also, in the Insight webinars, there's specific tips for specific industries. And of course, you can also book a private appointment once you've done it, and we can review it as well. Are there any particular, Hamza has asked, are there any particular types of post or content formats that tend to generate more interaction on LinkedIn? Well, it depends on your audience, depends on who sees it first, whether they engage with it, but basically it has to be amazing. And it's not going to be as supported if it's linking to somewhere else and taking people off the platform. So if you can keep people in LinkedIn and continually engaging, that's going to perform better for you as a general rule. The best times to post depends on your audience. So I posted late one night on a Friday, but for some reason, a lot of people I knew were online that Friday night. But as a general rule, would I recommend late Friday night? No, unless I was trying to reach the US or UK market from Australia and they were just starting their day. So I mix it up. I don't ever worry about, well, as a general rule, I don't post at 2 o'clock in the morning Australian time, but I just tend to do it when it suits because there's no silver bullet to anything here. So posting our newsletter on our LinkedIn, oh yeah, that was just 3 tips, 3 things, good insights. Just keep scrolling. Notifications are new to me. Good, glad that was a newbie. Manage the hashtags I follow. Oh my goodness, yes, because we can get too many hashtags, and what we were interested in 6 months ago, we may not be interested now. Michelle said, thank you, Sue. As always, your content is 100% valuable. That is always my goal. Amra says, this was brilliant. Sharon, lovely to see you. Sue, it's always great to listen to your experience on LinkedIn and your advice. Dorothy, nice to see you too, Dorothy. Thank you. Excellent advice. Sarah, thank you. This has been great. Paul says lots of helpful information. Okay, I will turn off the camera shortly and the recording. So if you want to ask me a question without it being recorded, that will also be available. Appreciate all the info. Which book do you recommend for a small association, Sue? I haven't read any of your books yet. Look, I think my latest one is probably going to be the most helpful if you are going to be focusing on LinkedIn. So my first book was very strategic, 120 Ways to Achieve Your Purpose with LinkedIn. 120 Ways to Attract the Right Career or Business is story driven. So if you like a good story, number 2. Number 3, 120 Ways to Market Your Business Hyperlocally is case study driven. So it looks at specific examples of what's worked before so that you can practically implement it. It also includes a marketing analysis tool. So you can answer these questions before deciding whether yay or nay, whether you would go ahead with something. Gigsters is really for individuals who don't want to work for an organization anymore, but want a different way of working. And I wrote that before COVID because I've been operating with Zoom and Skype and Teams and all these other things for years with local and international clients. So I haven't had a real job since 1994. So Gigsters has packaged all that up and shown you how I've done it. And of course, the latest one is just step-by-step guide for LinkedIn. Sarah, thank you. Great presentation. Vanessa, thanks so much for all your help. Amazing. Lucy, I never understood the hashtag or @mention at all. Thank you. Okay, the hashtag. There's 3 types of hashtags in my view. They came originally from Twitter. That's where the platform that developed it. And a hashtag was designed to group content together. So if somebody was talking about, I don't know, the plane landing on the Hudson River, if they all put the hashtag plane on Hudson River, then we could click that hashtag and see all the content related to that particular incident. So the hashtag was designed to pull information together. So I like to use them in 3 ways. A name, so hashtag Sue Elson, or a subject, hashtag careers or hashtag LinkedIn, that's a subject, and a statement. So hashtag LinkedIn is my favorite social media platform, or LinkedIn loving, or, you know, just some statement that you think is important to share. Because it's in highlighted blue text, it just emphasizes it. So it's not really there for any useful purpose apart from just to say, this is what I really believe in. As a general rule, I put in 3 hashtags per post and no more than 5. @mentions. If you type @ and then someone's name or someone's company page, it sends a notification to them that you have mentioned them. And I think that's very helpful. There's one person I know, he mentions me all the time, but never @mentions me. So I never know when he's mentioned me, which is really infuriating because I'd be happy to respond. So if you do say this was a great webinar and you share it, please @mention me so I can engage with it. Naman, a fountain of knowledge. Thank you. Fiona Christie, much appreciated. I think that's all the questions. So I will now turn off the recording and open it up so that you can chat directly with me. And we'll